Hello, today we'll be talking about the digestive system, part 1. So let's talk about some definitions first. What is digestion? It's the process of breaking down food into molecules cells can use. Absorption is the passage of smaller molecules through the cells into the blood and lymph. We have gastroenterology, which is a medical specialty that deals with the structure, function, diagnosis, and treatment of diseases in the stomach and intestines. And then we have proctology, which is another medical specialty that deals with the diagnosis and treatment of disorders of the rectum and anus. Functions of digestion. We have ingestion, secretion, mixing and propulsion, digestion both mechanical and chemical, absorption, and defecation. So in the processes of digestion, we have ingestion, which is getting food into the mouth. We also have propulsion, which is moving foods from one region of the digestive system to another. In the process of propulsion, we have peristalsis, which is alternating waves of contractions along our smooth muscle that actually push the bulbous, or food molecule, down through our smooth muscle into our stomach, say, and then through our intestines. We also have segmentation, which is the moving of materials back and forth to aid in mixing. Segmentation can also break them into smaller pieces, increasing the surface area and helping in chemical digestion. We also have mechanisms of digestion, such as mechanical digestion, which is mixing the food with the mouth and the tongue, churning of the food in the stomach, and segmentation in the small intestine. Again, segmentation is going to be breaking them down into smaller pieces so that they can have more surface area so that the chemicals can work better on them. Then we have our chemical digestion, where enzymes break down the food molecules into their building blocks. If you remember, those building blocks are going to be carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. But it breaks them down further into those actual building blocks of those macromolecules. Carbohydrates are broken down into simple sugars. Proteins are broken down into amino acids. And fats are broken down into fatty acids and alcohol. And then these building blocks are then taken up by the cells and used. Absorption. The end products of digestion are absorbed into the blood or lymph. Or again, those building blocks that we saw are absorbed and taken to the blood and lymph, then distributed through the body. Food must enter the mucosal cells and then move into the blood or into the lymph capillaries. We also have defecation, which is the elimination of indigestible substances as feces. Now, the process of digestion we see here in this image. You don't have to draw the image, but you might want to take down some key steps as we go through them. So, the food of ingestion starts in the mouth. And we do have mechanical digestion with chewing. Then it moves into the pharynx and then the esophagus. In our esophagus, it has to actually move the bulbous, or that food molecule, down to the stomach. And it does that through propulsion, swallowing, and peristalsis. Remember, peristalsis is that contracting of that smooth muscle, pushing that bulbous through the smooth muscle. Once we get down into the stomach, we see more mechanical digestion, with the churning of that food and mixing it with hydrochloric acid and other enzymes that are inside of the stomach. Then once we get from the stomach, we move into the small intestines, where we have segmentation, remember, breaking down those big molecules into smaller ones, creating more surface area for the chemicals to actually attack. And we have chemical digestion, where enzymes come and break down those macromolecules into their building blocks. We see absorption in both the small intestines and partially the large intestines. In the large intestines, we pull out a lot of the water, and we have feces created, which move to the anus and go out through defecation. Overview. Gastrointestinal tract, or aka the eliminary canal, goes from mouth to pharynx to esophagus to stomach to small intestines and then large intestines. Now we have some key players that help out in digestion. We have accessory digestive organs, such as our teeth, our tongue, our salivary glands, our liver, our gallbladder, and our pancreas. So, again, you might want to write these down in order so that you know what order they go in. So we start with the mouth, and food comes in and goes into our pharynx and into our esophagus. Then from here it goes into the stomach, and the liver and gallbladder and pancreas pump into the small intestines multiple different types of enzymes to help break down the food substance. So again, it goes from the stomach to those small intestines where it gets broken down even further, and then into the large intestines, and then out through the rectum. Processes of the mouth. Mastication, or chewing, of your food. This helps with mixing of the food with the saliva, and the saliva helps keep the food in a ball or a bulbous and keeps it together. The initial swallowing is done by the tongue, and then it allows for a sense of taste. Now the taste is not just in the mouth. You also need the olfactory nerves and olfactory senses to help you taste. Have you ever tried plugging your nose and then eating something? You don't taste a thing. So you do need your olfactory sense as well to help you with taste. In the esophagus, it runs from the pharynx down through the diagram to the stomach. And we must get our bulbous, or our food molecule, through our esophagus and down to our stomach. We conduct food through peristalsis. Again, a slow rhythmic squeezing to move that food molecule. The passageway for food is only through the esophagus. We have two actual tubes in our pharynx. We have the trachea and we have the esophagus. Well, the trachea goes down into the respiratory branches, and we don't want food to get in there. We want our food to go through the esophagus to be able to get to the stomach. The anatomy of the stomach. Well, we have our cardiac region near the heart. We have our fundus, our body, and our pylorus. Now we also have two sphincters. Sphincters are basically rubber bands that contract our smooth muscle and don't let anything pass. We have a cardiac sphincter that's at the top of the stomach, and then we have a pylorus sphincter at the bottom of the stomach. These open up and close rhythmically to allow things in and out. The regae are going to be the folds within the stomach. This increases surface area so our cells can create more mucus. And the food empties into the small intestine at the pyloric sphincter. Again, a sphincter is basically a rubber band that opens and closes and squeezes to allow things in and out. Again, when we take a look at our stomach, we see the regae in here, all of these folds. Now, these folds increase the surface area where we can create hydrochloric acid and mucus, and then allow it to churn and mix in with the food. We see the cardioesophageal sphincter up top, and we see the pyloric sphincter down at the bottom. Functions of the stomach. It acts as storage. It is a site for food breakdown. It's where chemical breakdown begins protein breakdown. And it delivers chyme to the small intestine. Food breakdown in the stomach. We have gastric juices that are regulated by our neurocenters. The gastrin causes the stomach glands to produce protein-digesting enzymes to start digesting and breaking down those protein molecules. Hydrochloric acid also makes the stomach very acidic. Now you ask about why is it acidic? Well, it activates pepsinogen to peptin for protein digestion. It provides a hostile environment for microorganisms. So in case you swallow something that's undercooked, the microorganisms won't be able to survive through the stomach to then get into the body. Digestion and absorption in the stomach. We have protein digesting enzymes such as pepsin and renin. Pepsin acts as a protein digesting enzyme, and renin works on digesting the milk protein. The only absorption that occurs in the stomach is of alcohol and aspirin. This is why alcohol affects you so quickly. Now here are some questions that you might want to be able to answer. So list and describe the 4 processes of digestive system. Explain 2 functions of the mouth. Explain the functions of the esophagus. And explain the functions of the stomach. Well, that's all I have for you today. We'll digest the rest later. Have a good day.